Their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable.
Did Rachel Zegler single-handedly tank Disney's Snow White remake? Or was she just a scapegoat for a doomed project? This live-action reimagining of a beloved fairy tale was supposed to be a magical triumph, but it spiraled into one of Disney's biggest disasters. From racist casting backlash to on-set clashes and a box office flop, the story behind this film is wilder than any grim tale. Let's dive into the chaos that brought Snow White to its knees.
The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
She refused to keep her fat mouth shut. It really does seem to me that this is like a 19-year-old's version of feminism.
You had Rachel Zegler on the docket too. I think actresses should be quiet. I understand why.
Such an
When Disney announced in 2021 that Rachel Zegler, a rising star of Colombian and Polish descent, would play Snow White, the internet exploded. The fairy tale describes the princess as having skin as white as snow, and some fans, let's call them purists, lost it, claiming Zegler wasn't white enough for the role. Social media lit up with racist rants, trending for days. Zegler didn't back down, firing back at critics as losers obsessed with maintaining the bloodline purity of a cartoon princess. She pointed out Snow White's popularity in Spanish-speaking countries, proud to be a Latina princess. But the casting debate was just the beginning of the storm.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
They've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her."
Fast forward to 2022, and Zegler dropped a bombshell that made Disney fans clutch their pearls. At a fan event, she called the 1937 animated classic dated, slamming its focus on a love story with a prince she dubbed a stalker. She pitched the remake as a feminist take, with Snow White dreaming of leadership, not true love. Traditionalists were livid, accusing her of disrespecting a cherished legacy. TikTok erupted with clips of her remarks, some fans arguing she misread the original's charm. Zegler's blunt style, refreshing to some, grating to others, poured fuel on the fire. Her words lit a fuse, but what happened on set was even messier.
And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." This is just like a few months after 10/7.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
Production on Snow White was a nightmare from the start. Filming kicked off in 2022, only to be hit by a literal fire on set. Then came 3 rounds of reshoots to fix pacing, rework plot points, and salvage the story. Greta Gerwig, who helped pen the script, reportedly faced endless studio demands, each tweak spawning new problems. Continuity errors plagued a key third-act sequence, forcing Disney to scrap it entirely. The film's release, originally set for 2024, got pushed to 2025 as delays piled up. Insiders whispered Disney was in full meltdown over the project, and then things got personal between the stars.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them. It's the old, it truly is go woke, go broke.
Rumors of a feud between Zegler and Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, started swirling. Sources say the two clashed during a now-deleted fortress scene, where Snow White and her allies faced off against Gadot's character. Gadot improvised darker dialogue, leaning into her villain's edge, which Zegler felt stole focus from her heroine's arc. One heated dispute reportedly took 25 takes to capture, with tensions boiling over an 18-hour shoot. Crew members were caught in the crossfire, unsure how to balance the stars' competing visions. But it wasn't just creative differences stirring trouble.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too. For every one of the 18 hours I am in the Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress or as a
Zegler's politics threw another wrench into the mix. In August 2024, after hyping the Snow White trailer on social media, she posted, "And always remember Free Palestine." The statement clashed with Godot's vocal pro-Israel stance, sparking a firestorm. Disney scrambled, reportedly hiring a social media guru for Zegler and boosting security for Godot after death threats spiked. Producer Mark Platt even flew to New York to urge Zegler to tone it down, but she stood firm. Her posts, including a fiery "fuck Donald Trump" after the 2024 election, led some to claim she alienated half the audience. As the backlash grew, Zegler tried to make amends.
People have real problems and no one gives a shit if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour. So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general.
In early 2025, Zegler apologized for her remarks about the 1937 film, insisting she respected its legacy. She called the backlash a sign of fans' passion for the original, hoping to smooth things over. But the apology landed like a lead balloon. Many saw it as too late or insincere, and it did little to ease tensions on set. Disney fans remained skeptical, and the production team, already frayed, grew wearier of the constant drama. With the film finally out, the verdict was brutal.
This weird feminist thing where her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice. You cannot both be a leader as a female. You cannot both be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince. Like, that's incongruous bullshit. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment.
Snow White hit theaters on March 21st, 2025, and bombed spectacularly. It grossed just $43 million domestically on its opening weekend, a far cry from the $270 million production cost. Critics tore it apart, giving it a dismal 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, with some calling it visually repellent. IMDb issued a rare warning after waves of negative reviews flooded in, hinting at review bombing. Disney scaled back promotion, canceling a UK premiere and limiting press at the US debut to dodge tough questions about Zegler and Godot. But was Zegler really to blame for the failure?
So, I mean, this woman has clicked every box. And just for cherry on top at the end, she gave an interview last week talking about how they were basically a bunch of white supremacists on the set of West Side Story, where Steven Spielberg and co. were demanding that she prove how Latina she really is, since her name doesn't sound Latina. And she was angrily saying, "Did I have to bring in my little abuelita for you to believe that I was Latina?"
Disney insiders pointed fingers at Zegler, claiming her comments and politics poisoned the film's chances. One rival exec called it a $270 million disaster that should have been a billion-dollar hit, yet others rallied to her defense. Actress Melissa Barrera, fired from Scream 7 for similar political posts, praised Zegler's integrity. Over 50 journalists signed an open letter slamming a Variety article as a hit job on Zegler, arguing the film's woes were structural, not her fault. At 23, Zegler's talent is undeniable, but the industry buzz is split. Some see her as a bold star, others a risky bet. So what's next for Zegler and Disney?
That's her thanks to Steven Spielberg, who discovered her and made her. So she's an ingrate, she's annoying, and I think she's probably two and done.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it, and then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
The fallout from Snow White could haunt Zegler's career. Disney once eyed her for multiple Snow White projects, but those plans are likely shelved. Studios might hesitate to cast her in big-budget roles if the backlash lingers, though her Golden Globe-winning turn in West Side Story proves she's got the chops. Disney, meanwhile, is licking its wounds, pivoting to safer promotions for future films. The Snow White saga has become a cautionary tale of clashing egos, studio missteps, and a star who spoke her mind, perhaps too freely. In the end, this saga leaves us with one big question.
Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever again.
Can a fairy tale survive when its stars and studio are at war? Snow White was meant to be a magical rebirth, but it became a battleground of ideals, egos, and expectations. Rachel Zegler's apology couldn't undo the damage, and Disney's dream turned into a $115 million lesson. As the dust settles, one thing's clear: this isn't the happily ever after anyone expected. What do you think? Did Zegler sabotage the film, or was she just caught in a perfect storm? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep the conversation going.